A pensioner couple who was stabbed by an intruder in their own home in northern New South Wales have spoken of the trauma faced by her family from the harrowing attack.
They're recovering in the hospital here, getting excellent care. This has been deeply traumatising to our family, and no family should ever have to go through this.
Torrington locals are now rallying behind Keith Blessing, who fear his self-defence move to shoot his alleged attacker could now lead to charges. And for more, we're joined live now by local Mayor Bronwyn Petrie. Good morning to you, Bronwyn. Firstly, describe for us how this attack has affected your small, very tight-knit community there.
Look, the community of Torrington and further afield are very traumatised, they're shocked, they're very rattled and concerned, very concerned about the welfare, first of all, of the Blessing couple, Diane and Keith, but secondly, about their own welfare and the rights that they have to defend themselves in a small rural community or any of our isolated rural communities. And obviously, in this case, given the violence that was enacted by the intruder, the community would be absolutely outraged were there any charges laid against Mr. Blessing, who, thank God, was able to have that further defence. Else we are very convinced we would be looking at 2 homicides. So obviously, as Inspector Parsons said, the law has to look at what is reasonable force. The community is 100% behind Keith Blessing in this, and there was, obviously discussion about castle law, etc. And I know it's on a case-by-case basis, but we really do hope that the investigation happens very quickly in that part of it so that Mr. Blessing and his family can be assured that there will be no charges laid as a result of his very brave actions.
Yes, I mean, it was extraordinary actions that he took, didn't he? And we don't know what the outcome would have been. Of course, there is still a police investigation ongoing. But at that community meeting that you had yesterday, there felt like there was really a visceral feeling there about whether Keith could be charged for shooting the suspected intruder. We're certainly hearing that on our text line this morning. What did the police say to the community yesterday about that?
Look, Mr. Parsons was just being very honest in that there had been some media reports saying that, confirming that Mr. Blessing wouldn't be charged, and what Inspector Parsons said was that's actually not quite right. The investigation has to take place first. However, both he and the superintendent had both praised the actions of Mr. Blessing in being able, as in how well he had done to defend himself and die. And the police have unanimously all sent their thoughts and hopes that the Blessing couple have a full and swift recovery. There's a lot of, these are our local police force. There's a lot of connectivity there in our local community. So, I would hope that no one, and yesterday they clearly said that the police are doing their job. The locals know the police are doing their job. Quite often the frustration is with the courts. But as one lady said, better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6.
Bronwyn, we've seen that outpouring of support now from your community there. Keith and Di's own daughter, Kathy, has said that she found the support from the community very overwhelming and comforting right now. Explain to us just how that community is rallying around the couple.
Well, at the moment, obviously, the Blessings are in the Gold Coast University Hospital in their very excellent trauma unit. So at the moment, the community is just sending their best wishes, and publicly stating their support for the family, and also concern about each other because there's a lack of communications in that area. That area was devastated by fire. In the Black Summer bushfire 6.5 years ago, and lost multiple homes, and all that. The Telstra tower that went up only goes coverage for a few hundred metres. People don't realise the lack of connectivity we do have in our rural areas, and that's one of the big things from yesterday was connectivity. Also, that reassurance that Inspector Parsons said that we do have police presence in that area, and. Those are the sort of things that people are very, very, very concerned about.
Yeah.
So
Well, it was very fortunate that they did have connectivity, and that 000 call was all recorded, we understand, but lots of locals there saying if it had have happened on our property, we wouldn't have been able to call for help. Listen, Bronwyn, we really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks, Bronwyn.
Thank you, and we'll wait for the outcome of the investigation.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you.